chorus 3. Alright, don't forget to practice the jump that you have from the end of introduction. So if you notice what I'm doing, I land on the interval, on the fourth interval as an harmonic interval. I think it is safer. It is also what you hear is being done by Claude Bolling. Here, you know, I think this is a game of cooperation between fingers and arm. So you practice a bit slowly. A bit of rotation, a bit of grasping by the fingers, and then relaxing. I think it's easy to get to the final tempo. And what you need to do is to pay a bit of attention, because I think when then starts the figure with the 16ths, you need to change your third finger with a fourth to start the first triplet. The left hand, of course, is doing the same things it was doing in the chorus 1 and 2, so we don't need to spend time on that. Here at bar 60, you know, in the way it is written in the score, is rather uneasy, you know. Here, when you play it fast, it's really complicated, and if you listen to the recording carefully, it is not what you hear is being done. There is a slight modification that makes things more agile. That is, it is more ergonomic. You can try and feel it. What is the trick here, in my opinion? I like to visualize what we have to do with our arm and hand as something similar to a ping pong game, right? And here we have this imaginary ball that is being thrown and fetched from here. Remember, with my modifiers I'm doing after the first E flat with the fourth, I think after is very comfortable, convenient to use the fifth rather than leaving it there doing nothing. And now, regarding that ping pong analogy, here the point is that the low E flat when you reach it and the higher E flat when you go back to the higher. These notes are taken by the arm energy in its movement going in that direction where the notes are traveling. So this is the last stop of my train taken with this movement. And again, going up, the fifth finger take the energy of the arm. What I mean to say is that really it's like you are a crazy driver that hits the wall straight. And why this? Because it's very easy for the next finger, that is this 2 when you are in the lower side and the 3 when you are up, to play sufficiently energically that key while you reverse the motion. Instead, if you try it, is more problematic, less ergonomic to invert the motion of the arm on the E flats. Instead, just go straight, hit the wall, and then you have a very efficient finger, the third when you are up, the second when you're down, that will start reversing the motion. I hope it was sufficiently clear. I exaggerate, so I try to isolate the parts of the playing system that are mostly in action. So the first is not a problem here, just pay attention after this, how to call it in English, I don't know, tremolo. Could you see that? And then it's very easy to practice, you know, this. The only bit of attention is on the, as usual, on the thumb passing under here. But again, the aim is hitting that wall, the E flat, and the E flat in the bottom. Let's keep going. So here again, we see on the score something that is quite different from what you hear from the original recording. And again, I have to say, what you hear in the recording is musically much more intriguing to me. Now, if we take the score as it is, well, if you want to break some kind of Guinness record in terms of the fastest typist pianist in the world, be my guest, just follow what is written in the score. Yes, there are a lot of notes, these 7, how to call that in English, I don't know, settimine we say in Italian, so 7 sixteenths in a quarters. It's very fast. Once again, it is not what you hear. And what we hear in the recording is, in my opinion, more intriguing because it's more apparently anarchic, is less, how to say, crazily fast. It's very interesting. Let's break it up to understand what I mean. First of all, in the recording you will hear that at the end of these 2 bars, so we are at bar 62, at the end, meaning on the last quarter beat, the left hand is here, before going on with. So when you are here, you will hear the original with a stop. This stop is a great idea because it's a reset, it's musically very consistent, is jazzy, is everything, and again, is a reset with respect to that anarchy that just happened before, apparently, and we'll go into that. But remember, the last quarter, consider to use it as a point of resetting your rhythmical pattern. Now, we are left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quarters between bar 61 and bar 62. And if you listen carefully to the recording, you will hear that Claude Bolling is not playing over these 7 quarters 7 times these groups of 7/16 in the right hands. No, he's playing 5 times these groups of 7/16. So a bit of arithmetic, we have 5 times groups of 7 notes. That makes 35 notes. I hope that's right? So we have this little problem of fitting 35 notes along this pattern over 7 quarters. Well, I think you got the point. Ideally, we have to play 7 groups of 5/16. There must be a name in English, but I don't know that. I'm not even sure about the name in Italian. It is a rare rhythmical pattern that you find time to time in kind of bizarre or peculiar pieces along the classic period. So let's just identify that rhythm. So let's take a reasonable tempo and let's break down this tempo with different rhythm until reaching the 5 notes rhythmical pattern. So 1, 2, okay. Let's take this tempo, let's see if it works. 1, 2. First a dual rhythm. Let's go to the ternary rhythm. Usual things now. Let's go to 4. Let's go to 5. Do you hear it? Now let's try with this part. It's a miracle, I did it kind of exactly the first time. And well, in my humble opinion, the point is not to be a perfect mathematician and playing regularly these notes, but the point is that you reduce the number of 16ths so you don't get crazy in fitting so many quick notes in these 7 quarters. And you, of course, you might practice, study it, try to be regular. It's a possibility if you can be regular in your studying days, but eventually, thanks to that final effect of reset, you remember, you can use that as a name for a small adjustment in what you are doing and to keep going, although perhaps you realize that you are a little bit shorter or a little bit longer when you are reaching the end. You understand what I mean? However, now let's spend a couple of minutes in seeing some preparatory training for this, as I call it, anarchic rhythmical situation that I like it very much. First, we are seeing that we play 5 times these groups of 7 16ths. And in fact, if you listen to recording, you will hear 5 times the E flat being played before the final reset. Now, so let's see how ideally these 5 groups of 7 notes are split across the quarters. So the first beat is by the E flat, of course, and then let's keep going playing just the main beats of the groups of 5 notes that have found. And yes, what I did is I rewrote these 2 lines visualizing this grouping of notes, because it is very helpful if you want to study it. So again. And pay attention to use the finger that you will find when you arrive there if you play all the notes. So first screening is slowly to just set up your fingering and then isolate the notes and the fingers on the main beats. Now, as next step, let's fill up some of them. Now, the opposite perhaps. So a few times in one way and in another. And then try your best to be kind of regular. However, once again, that reset notes is very helpful to make slight correction in case you didn't manage to be exactly mathematical, as probably is not the point of being. Was it clear? I hope so. Let's go on. Here once again I suggest a modifier that is based on what you hear in the original recording. So instead of this, I feel it a bit mechanical repetition of the E flat, in the way written on the score, well, the actual performance is and well, here how to study this piece basically is everything we have come across so far. So first get stabilized on the position. And actually 2 quarters are enough initially to prepare yourself for this. Now I am just keep going, not to make this video lasting 10 hours, but then you can focus on the little problems that you find along the way. Moving from non-legato to a kind of legato. And paying attention that the thumb typically needs a lot of cooperation when it passes under the other fingers. Cooperation given by the relaxation, fluidity, agility of the wrist, the forearm, the upper arm. Here in the score we are still playing higher. I have listened to 2 recordings by Claude Bolling. In one he plays higher here, in one he goes back in loco. Do what you prefer. A bit of pepper here. Not written, but you can hear something like that in the recording. Here you can practice a bit in chords. Here needs a bit of practice. Here in the score we find this fingering. I don't feel it for myself ergonomic, agile enough. I prefer to go on the 5-2 and on the 3-1. I have to say I don't like much this. Texture is something that doesn't come easily for me. I had to spend a lot of dumb drilling time, let me call it like that, in repeating several times. I never found a definitive ergonomic solution to this. I wish you better luck than me. However, how to study that? This is what I did. So first, a bit of familiarization with the main beats in the reed. Then doubling it. And then I guess it helps perhaps slightly some kind of sudden cooperation by the flexibility of the arm in this way. Look. Kind of jumping off the last 16th semi-quaver, really jumping with the hand and landing on the next main beat. Even because we are not playing Cerny, with all due respect, so it's not that we have to visualize in our mind the music as ta 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 ta. this is jazzy, so there is some irregular, how to say, flow in these 16ths, in my opinion. And this kind of jerky action by the arm on the last 16th, I think is in favor of that kind of inegal jazzy rhythm. In particular, I feel problematic the last 2 quarters, so a bit of focusing on there. And here, I don't surrender that idea in the very last, although it looks a bit odd. Probably here a bit of pedal is kind of natural to be placed, paying attention not to mix up everything. Perhaps you've heard I applied a slight modifier that I take from the recording at the very end. Instead of doing 3 times, the 3rd time would be. And we are reaching the coda. This figure here, I think, can be seen as composed by 2 halves. The first one is, the second is, I believe it's very important to keep the aim as the A flat. The temptation would be at first sight to consider it. The rhythm is pushing to go there, and so there is a first half here. So a bit of studying on the thumb passage underneath the 3rd finger. Here you can practice it slowly, non legato, as we have done so far, and then gradually increasing the legato. So. Clearly the bass requires certain weight. The right hand, I think, is important to grasp the fundamental rhythm. So it's not tan tan ta 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 ta. No, it's. Again. And you fill up gradually with the more important notes. And so when you then fill up completely, keep in mind that these are not a number of stones that are thrown on the key. It's not. No. So you can even visualize like forte, piano, forte, piano, piano, forte, piano, forte, forte, piano, forte. This dynamic seems to make things complicated, but actually in terms of your gesture helps a lot in developing a more fluid choreography. practice several times, removing the less important notes at higher or lesser degree, and get settled with the nice jazzy rhythm that we have to express. Let's go on. So here we have this nice boogie bass. First I would study it in octaves. So a few times. Of course you can concentrate on one bar, actually even on half the bar, as short as makes you feel comfortable initially. As next step, I would remove the thumb and playing only with the fifth finger. That is the difficult thing, but actually that's the very important line in these two bars that then are even repeated. So this must be really heavy in a way. We must hear very well the fifth. Is the carrying line. You have to train this fifth finger to take the weight of the arm. And then let's start adding a few notes in the right hand. And playing slow, I would suggest to activate, I'll exaggerate a bit to make evident what I'm doing, a kind of syncopated choreography. Look. So it's fall, fall, push, 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 fall, push, fall. Trying to make it fluid and natural. At least for me it helps to maintain order between the carrying beats in the bass and the syncopated beats in a way in the right. And I wouldn't exceed in energy in the right hand, especially in the second part of the bar. That would be, I believe, against becoming fluid and agile. The important thing is the bass, a couple of chords here. And the rest is kind of a playful noise. Next line, let's simplify it first. By the way, here I feel to modify it in the same way you hear it in the recording, that is instead of this is the way it is written. Instead I step into the E sharp. So, and that was the final result that comes after spending some time with those intermediate steps. One of them being also playing just the fifth finger with the right hand played in full. propedeutic than to what you have to do filling up with all the notes that are written. And sorry, that was an E flat that should have been natural. And so when you fill it up everything, you might want to focus on half the bar, for instance, or even on 1/4. So here, for example. The pedal, I think, can be used, can be not used. If you use it, I think, however, be kind of very agile. Just brief touches like to increase perhaps the sonority, but is better, I think, not to mix up these chromatics. At least not in my, according to my taste. I'm really kind of playing, messing a bit things with a quick press and release of the pedal at nearly every, I think, quavers. And we are repeating this figure and we reach the end. So here we have this line. Now, first I would learn the carrying main beats, of course. We are going to the fortissimo, and so we have, to dance with this carrying rhythm. And then let's add the secondary beats, but second in importance. And probably can be fall, push, fall, push, fall. But notice that we have an accent on the fall, so then we can merge everything. These 30 seconds shouldn't be, I think, too, how to say, too quick, too narrow, more like triplets, I think. I feel, at least in my experience, it was like this. If you develop solidly the control in these main notes, then it is very quick, kind of natural to just put those ornaments that are taken by the fingers along the way. And here what to say, you are at fortissimo with energy, joy. Just pay attention to try to get the right notes. So a few falls practicing, I think, is important. The C is taken along the way without much weight. And the last fall here. Thanks for watching this presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you again in my next video.